As health and wellness providers, we know that better patient outcomes require a whole person, multidisciplinary approach that we just can't provide on our own. That's why I've started the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. I'll be bringing you interviews with experts, tips, tricks, secrets, resources, systems, and solutions so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And creating your wellness center won't feel like starting over. Let's start off today's show with our sponsor, Jane, an all-in-one practice management software. Jane offers a PCI-compliant solution called Jane Payments that's designed to bring convenience to your day-to-day payments. That means payment options that make for a quick and easy checkout for you and your clients. With Jane Payments, you can save a little time by collecting payment before an appointment with an online booking payment policy or requesting a card on file through an intake form. You can also use the integrated Jane Payments terminal to tap, insert, or swipe credit cards on site, and you'll have the option to store cards on file through the terminal for quicker checkout for future appointments. To see Jane Payments in action, head to jane.app/payments. Don't forget, listeners can use the code WELLNESS1MO for a 1-month grace period on your new Jane account. Welcome back, everyone, to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. Today on the show, I wanted to talk about the 4 P's of effective meetings. Meetings are a huge part of an employee's experience on our team. And we have another episode recently talking about relationship-centered hiring and trauma-informed practices as employers. And effective meetings are one of the things we can do to help our team have a great experience. So the 4 P's of effective meetings: people, process, product, and purpose. So people would be who's coming to the meeting, what is the role of each person, and are these people that need to be there at the meeting? Employees often will, potentially give feedback about not understanding why they're at a meeting or the purpose of the meeting, or they could be spending their time seeing patients. So it's important to make sure that the people at the meeting need to be there. Process is the structure of the meeting. Product would be what is the goal for the result of this meeting, and the purpose. Why are we here? What's the reason for meeting? So when we think about structuring meetings, I'm sure most of you are familiar with creating agendas for meetings, but we want to take it to another level. First of all, looking at, okay, why are we having this meeting? Let's say it's for your leadership team to make a decision on implementing a new service or something like that. So it's looking at, okay, we need everybody from leadership. Do we also need, the provider that this involves? Who needs to be there? And then you're looking at the agenda. Okay, what needs to be on the agenda? Is there brainstorming that needs to happen? Or are you farther along in the process and it just choosing between 2 options? Or what are the actual discussion points instead of an open meeting where, okay, we're here to talk about the new service? That's great. And there's a time and a place for that. But thinking about, is this a meeting for just being open-ended and chatting through this? Or is this a meeting to make a decision and take action? So we're thinking about the agenda. We want to put how much time for each topic. Do we think this is going to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes? We want to have someone that is keeping time, and we'll talk about roles for meetings in a moment. But then we also want to have some bank time that you can pull from, because as always, we're going to go over the 5 minutes that we set for that part of the discussion. So we're going to say, okay, we have 10 minutes of bank time that we can pull from. And the role of the timekeeper is to say, okay, we're nearing 5 minutes on this part of the conversation. Do we want to choose to pull from the bank time? And then everyone can decide. Then we also have a parking lot, is what comes up in the meeting that we're going to put in the parking lot and save for next time, and then always saving time to wrap up and give a summary and action items. And the action item piece is vitally important. It is one of the ways that you as the owner are able to delegate and not take on all the action items yourself. So the important roles in the meeting, we have the planner. So this is the person who's creating the agenda and saying, this is how much time it's going to take for each part of the conversation. Then you have the facilitator, which can be someone different than the planner. They are keeping the meeting on track and going from topic to topic. You have a note taker who is taking notes. You have a timer. And they're different than the facilitator. The facilitator is saying, okay, we're on to the next topic. Let's close that conversation here. The timer saying, hey, you're almost to the 5 minutes. You're almost to the 30 minutes. And then you have someone who's in charge of the actions or the wrap up and making sure everyone knows their responsibility as they leave the meeting. The goal here is to figure out, no matter the type of meetings that you're having or with who, it's to figure out what people on your team respond best to so that you can create experiences in meetings for them that are effective. So, for example, there are people on my team at Vancouver Wellness Studio who do much better with in-person meetings versus virtual meetings or vice versa. There are people that need information in an email, people that absolutely cannot process information in the same way from an email and they need a phone call, or people that need it multiple ways. So the task is to get clear on the who, what, when, where, why with regard to your meetings, whether you're doing a small, a short kind of huddle type of meeting or more of a informal gathering or a structured meeting. In order for employees to be in relationship, they have to feel attuned to and cared for about and cared about in that way, just like in any relationship in our life. So does that mean that you're going to do this for every person every time? No. Sometimes we just have to have a meeting to disseminate information in the way that's best for us and the business, but it's something to consider as much as we're able to. It's also important that employees understand what works best for you as their supervisor in communication with them. And the way they can learn that is we have to tell them and show them. So when you're setting your meetings, you want to assign roles that are within people's strengths. So if you have someone on your team who falls into more of this artist category. So when we think about personalities that typically lead successful teams, we have the artist, the entrepreneur, and the controller. So the artist is more like innovation, ideas, dreamers. Entrepreneur, risk taker, trying to advance the company. Controllers are processes, systems, logistics. So if you're in a meeting, if you ask the artist, someone with the artist personality to take notes during every meeting, it will likely cause them frustration because it's interrupting their creative process of visioning forward. So you get the idea. If everyone has a role, purpose, intention, actions in meetings and just in general in your interactions, the relationship goes more smoothly and builds to a deeper, more sustainable place. I hope that's helpful as you're planning your next meeting, and feel free to reach out anytime with questions at Kendall@wellnesscentercreators.com. Have a great day. Thanks so much for listening to the Wellness Center Creators Podcast. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please visit our website at wellnesscentercreators.com for more show notes and additional episodes. By the way, I love hearing from listeners. Please send me an email at Kendall, Kendall, @wellnesscentercreators.com with your feedback. And if you send me a question, maybe I'll read it on the show, anonymously, of course. Thanks so much again for listening, and we'll catch you next time on the Wellness Center Creators Podcast.